Greg Hsu's rise to fame was anything but ordinary. From his humble beginnings in Hsinchu to becoming a global heartthrob, his journey is filled with triumphs, controversies, and the hidden costs of success. His performances in Someday or One Day and Your Name Engraved Herein earned him international acclaim. But fame brought with it political scrutiny, relentless rumors, and the crushing pressure of perfection. Behind the polished image lies a story of resilience, strategy, and survival in one of Asia's toughest entertainment industries. This is Criminal Tracks, where the untold truths behind the stars are finally revealed. Greg Hsu was born on October 31st, 1990 in Hsinchu, Taiwan, to a family that lived far from the glittering lights of the entertainment industry. His childhood was simple, shaped by the traditions and values of an ordinary Taiwanese household. There were no famous connections to lean on, no wealthy industry ties to open doors. His path was going to have to be carved out by persistence, charisma, and sheer determination. In his early years, Hsu explored music and modeling, showing a natural confidence in front of the camera that hinted at bigger things to come. Still, the road ahead was uncertain. Taiwan's entertainment scene was fiercely competitive, and standing out required not only looks, but genuine talent and resilience. By his early 20s, Greg Hsu began testing the waters of acting, slowly securing smaller roles in television dramas. These were not headline-grabbing parts, but they allowed him to hone his craft and earn valuable experience. The industry noticed his presence, even if it was just a quiet whisper at first. His tall frame, expressive eyes, and natural screen presence made him memorable even in supporting roles. Audiences who paid close attention started asking, "Who is that?" It was a crucial step forward in building the recognition that every aspiring actor needs before their big break arrives. Those early years were a balancing act of ambition and uncertainty. While working as an actor, he continued to explore other opportunities, like music, releasing tracks that appealed to a niche following. Yet it was clear his true calling was acting. His dedication to improving with each role showed he was not content with being just a face on a poster. Casting directors began to notice his ability to carry emotion, to turn even brief appearances into something worth watching. That was a gift that couldn't be taught. The turning point came in 2019 with the release of the Taiwanese drama, Someday or One Day. The series was not just another romantic fantasy, it was a cultural phenomenon. Hsu's role in the show turned him into an international star almost overnight. The story's complex blend of love, time travel, and mystery captivated audiences across Asia, and Hsu's performance became the centerpiece of that emotional whirlwind. Viewers were struck by the authenticity of his portrayal, his ability to bring vulnerability and strength to the screen at the same time. Suddenly, Greg Hsu was no longer just another up-and-coming actor. He was the face of Taiwan's new wave of storytelling. With that breakthrough came a tidal wave of attention. Media outlets praised his talent, fans across Asia declared him a heartthrob, and the industry saw him as bankable. The demand for his appearances skyrocketed. Fashion brands came calling, eager to dress him for photo shoots and events. Interviews painted him as humble and hardworking, a man who seemed unchanged by fame, despite being catapulted into it at dizzying speed. To many, Greg Hsu represented the ideal new generation star, talented, charming, and relatable. Behind the scenes, the sudden rise was both exhilarating and exhausting. Going from relative obscurity to international recognition required adaptation. Overnight, his life was no longer private. He had to navigate endless media questions, fan scrutiny, and the delicate balance of maintaining his authentic self while managing a carefully crafted public image. Every gesture, every comment, and every choice of project mattered more than ever. Fame was a double-edged sword, offering success, but also demanding control. Yet, during this whirlwind, Greg Hsu's focus remained clear. He knew that fame without substance would not last. He continued to put his energy into his craft. determined not to let his rise be dismissed as a fleeting trend. Those who worked with him described a professional who arrived prepared, treated everyone respectfully, and took his roles seriously. He was not chasing easy publicity, but building a foundation for a career that could endure. Even in those early years of fame, there was a sense that Greg Hsu was playing the long game. His choices reflected a calculated path, taking roles that challenged him, working with respected directors, and keeping his private life shielded from unnecessary exposure. It was a strategy that preserved both his mystique and his credibility. Fans admired him not just for his looks, but for the emotional depth he brought to his characters. This first chapter of his journey was about transition, from anonymity to recognition, from ordinary beginnings to becoming a symbol of Taiwan's entertainment exports. It set the stage for the next more complicated chapter, where international fame, political tensions, and the heavy burden of expectations would test everything he had built. After the explosive success of Someday or One Day, Greg Hsu found himself standing at the crossroads of a career that could either soar or stumble under the weight of expectations. His newfound fame opened doors far beyond Taiwan. Suddenly, directors in mainland China, Hong Kong, and Southeast Asia were eager to cast him, and his name became synonymous with the idea of a rising Asian star. But with every new opportunity came new pressures, and for Hsu, the challenge was not simply to maintain visibility, but to prove that he had the depth and staying power to transform from a breakout sensation into a long-term leading man. Greg Hsu became a sought-after figure in the fashion world. International brands, particularly luxury houses, saw in him the perfect blend of modern elegance and youthful energy. His appearances at fashion shows, endorsements, and glossy magazine covers turned him into a style icon. Each campaign not only added to his bank account, but also expanded his influence beyond film and television. The fashion world valued him for his versatility. He could embody the image of a brooding, serious figure in one moment, and a lighthearted, approachable personality in the next. This ability to adapt further cemented his reputation as an entertainer with range. As his public presence grew, so did the fascination with his private life. Rumors about his relationships circulated regularly, fueled by his on-screen chemistry with co-stars and paparazzi speculation. Social media buzz linked him to several leading ladies, but Hsu consistently refused to confirm or deny the stories. His silence added to his mystique, keeping fans guessing while shielding his personal life from intrusive exposure. For many celebrities, scandals tied to romantic rumors can derail reputations. But in Hsu's case, his careful handling of these whispers only seemed to amplify his appeal. Fans admired his discretion, interpreting it as a sign of maturity in an industry that often thrives on oversharing. Still, the weight of fame was never light. Greg Hsu carried the image of a national heartthrob, a label that both elevated and confined him. With millions of fans watching his every move, any slip in behavior could spark headlines. His management team worked tirelessly to cultivate a clean, marketable image. But behind closed doors, the pressure was intense. The demands of endless filming schedules, brand commitments, and constant travel left little room for rest. Observers noted the strain of balancing artistry with commercial expectations, a struggle many actors face when their careers become global commodities. Despite the pressures, Greg Hsu maintained a steady hand on the trajectory of his career. He made deliberate choices about his projects, selecting roles that added depth rather than simply extending his fame. His approach was calculated, but not mechanical. He seemed to genuinely value the craft of acting, ensuring that each performance built on the last. For instance, his decision to explore darker or more complex characters reflected an ambition to challenge himself rather than coast on the success of romantic leads. He knew the risk of typecasting and took steps to avoid it. The media spotlight, however, never dimmed. Entertainment reporters analyzed every detail of his public appearances, from the clothes he wore to the expressions he made during interviews. Fans dissected his interactions with co-stars, creating theories and fan fiction that blurred the line between reality and fantasy. While flattering, the intensity of this attention highlighted the cost of celebrity. The loss of personal boundaries and the constant need to perform, even off-camera. One of the more intriguing aspects of his journey during this period was how he handled fame with humility. While others in his position might have leaned into arrogance or flaunted their success, Greg Hsu projected modesty. In interviews, he often credited his team and co-stars, deflecting attention away from himself. Industry insiders described him as respectful and hardworking, a professional who treated every project as a chance to grow. This demeanor made him stand out in a field where egos often overshadow talent. By the mid-2020s, Greg Hsu had established himself not only as one of Taiwan's most bankable actors, but also as a cultural figure who transcended borders. His career trajectory showed the balance between artistic credibility and commercial viability, a tightrope walk that few manage with grace. He had become a household name across Asia, admired by fans who saw in him both a star and a human being navigating the complexities of fame. But the higher he climbed, the sharper the spotlight became. His every choice, from the roles he played to the endorsements he accepted, was scrutinized. And while he avoided the more explosive scandals that derailed other celebrities, whispers of political controversy, online gossip, and the never-ending pressures of public life hinted at challenges looming on the horizon. Greg Hsu's career was entering a new phase, one defined not just by opportunity, but by the tests of resilience that accompany sustained fame. As Greg Hsu entered the later stages of his rise, the challenges he faced became less about securing opportunities and more about navigating the traps that come with fame. One of the most significant difficulties was the political tension between Taiwan and mainland China. For stars like him, success across the strait could mean unparalleled exposure and revenue, but it also came with landmines. Every word spoken in an interview, every project chosen, and even the subtext of certain roles could be dissected for signs of political leanings. Inevitably, Greg Hsu found himself caught in the crosshairs of online debates. Nationalist netizens in mainland China questioned his loyalty, accusing him of being sympathetic to Taiwanese independence simply because of his nationality and the projects he worked on. These accusations were often speculative and lacked solid evidence, but they spread quickly across social media, forcing his management to adopt a strategy of silence. They knew that in this climate, even clarifications could ignite further controversy. The pressure of these political storms added to the burden of being labeled a national heartthrob. His clean public image, carefully maintained for years, became both his shield and his prison. Fans expected him to remain flawless, while critics eagerly searched for cracks in the armor. Whispers began to circulate about his nightlife and supposed connections to wealthy social circles. Tabloids suggested he was seen in clubs or linked to business elites, painting a picture of a man living a double life. However, these rumors rarely held up under scrutiny. For the most part, they were the inventions of gossip sites, hungry for clicks. Still, in an industry where perception can matter more than truth, even unfounded stories had the power to shape his narrative. The psychological weight of such attention cannot be underestimated. Greg Hsu carried the expectations of millions, from devoted fans who saw him as a dream figure to critics who wanted to expose flaws. In interviews, he continued to project calm professionalism, but behind the scenes, the constant need to monitor every move took its toll. His choice to keep his private life locked away was not just a preference, but a necessity for survival in an era when oversharing could end careers. By withholding personal details, he created both frustration and fascination. Fans longed for glimpses of his true self, while detractors accused him of being too calculating. Despite the turbulence, Greg Hsu's financial standing solidified. Acting fees, film contracts, and high-profile endorsements with international brands placed him among the highest earners of his generation in Taiwan. His image as a fashion icon only amplified this, as luxury houses competed to feature him in campaigns that reached global audiences. Unlike many stars who burned out quickly, he leveraged fame into stability, building wealth and influence while maintaining a degree of control over his public persona. Yet with wealth came another layer of responsibility. Every endorsement tied his reputation to a corporate entity, and every business move was analyzed as part of a larger strategy. One misstep, one collaboration, viewed as politically insensitive, could have lasting consequences. His ability to maintain brand partnerships without falling into scandal was a testament to the careful balance he struck. This skill separated him from peers who stumbled in the same spotlight. Still, the greatest challenge lay in the intangible, the weight of expectations. Being called a heartthrob, a role model, or a national treasure placed him in a box. He was expected to look perfect, act perfect, and live perfectly. But perfection is unsustainable. Behind the curtain of polished interviews and glossy photo shoots, there was a man who had to endure sleepless nights, constant scrutiny, and the loneliness that often comes with fame. The burden of being desired by millions yet truly known by few created an emotional paradox that only those in his position could understand. What kept him steady through all this was his commitment to acting itself. Unlike some who chased only fame or money, Greg Hsu repeatedly chose roles that carried artistic weight, whether in culturally significant films or dramas that pushed him outside of his comfort zone. This dedication gave him a layer of credibility that protected him from being dismissed as superficial. It also gave fans something real to hold on to, beyond the glossy veneer of celebrity culture. Today, Greg Hsu stands at a unique point in his career. He is one of Taiwan's most recognized actors, admired across Asia, and watched closely by an international audience. But he is also a man still learning how to navigate the constant challenges that come with that position. The controversies surrounding his political identity, the relentless rumors, and the unyielding demands of fame have not disappeared. They remain shadows trailing his every move. Yet these very struggles have shaped him into more than a screen idol. They have given him resilience, a deeper understanding of the costs of success, and perhaps a sharper sense of what kind of legacy he wants to leave. Greg Hsu's story is still being written. The boy from Hsinchu, who once dreamed of performing, is now a cultural figure balancing art, fame, and the politics of identity. His journey shows that behind every glamorous headline lies a more complicated truth, that the price of fame is not measured only in money or admiration, but in the constant negotiation between the public image and the private self. And for Greg Hsu, that negotiation is far from over. Greg Hsu remains a symbol of modern Asian stardom, talented, admired, and endlessly scrutinized. His rise from anonymity to cultural icon proves that success is never just about talent, but also about navigating the shadows that fame inevitably casts. The political storms, the swirling gossip, and the burden of being an idol have all shaped the man he is today. And while his journey is far from over, one thing is certain: every step he takes will continue to be watched, dissected, and debated. For more untold stories like this, stay with Criminal Tracks, where the truth always finds its voice.